For everything you say or do, there is generally an infinite number of alternative choices you can pick from. What are you willing to give up in each moment for something else? What is worth giving up in each moment for something else? This is decision-making in a nutshell. Sounds simple? Well, it's not. Therefore, it's important to know that decision-making is arguably one of the most important skills to cultivate if you want to have success in your career, business, and relationships. The quality of your life is in fact a direct byproduct of the quality of the decisions you make every single day. Luckily, there are 3 tips you can leverage right now to make better decisions. Tip number 1. Be wary of decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is one of the most common causes of making poor decisions. The more choices you make throughout the day, the lower your mental energy is going to be. This directly affects your self-control, discipline, and yes, decision-making. Think of it this way. Each day we start with a limited amount of mental energy, just like a battery. And when we run short on this energy, our judgment turns flawed. In other words, after making several decisions, we start making poor ones. There are plenty of studies confirming the effect of decision fatigue on our judgment. Researchers studied over 1,100 decisions made by judges in court. The cases contained hearings in the morning, afternoon, and late evening. The studies found that a criminal had an 80% chance of a favorable decision in the morning, while by lunchtime, the percentage dropped to almost 0. Soon after lunch, the favorable decisions increased to over 60% again, thanks to the energy gained back from the lunch break. However, by evening, the number dropped to almost 0 again. The results were clear. As their mental energy decreased, judges started making less thoughtful decisions, resorting to a default one that was, the criminal was guilty. So how do you defend against decision fatigue? First, know when not to trust yourself. Avoid impulse decisions. Resist the urge of sending that 9 p.m. email to lash out in frustration at your colleague for a poorly executed job. Or when you feel tired after a long day of work, remind yourself that the little voice in your brain tempting you to eat that big bag of chips for dinner is ignoring the consequence of that decision, and you will most likely regret it later. Secondly, plan ahead. Try to arrange your schedule so that you can make the important decisions in the earliest hours of the day, when your mental acuity is high. Leave the less important decisions for the evening, including, for instance, what you're going to wear the next day at work. Tip number 2. Know your values. Values are principles or qualities intrinsically valuable or desirable to you. They are also deeply personal. Examples of values might be achievement, creativity, friendship, kindness, freedom, or many others. Values matter because you are likely to feel better if you are living according to them, and feel worse if you don't. This applies both to day-to-day decisions and to larger life choices. When you clearly know your values, it is in fact much easier for you to make decisions about how to live your life in a way that honors them. For example, you may deeply value honesty. You believe in being honest wherever possible, and you think it is important to say what you really think. Because of this, when you decide not to speak your mind, you probably feel disappointed in yourself. Or you might value creativity significantly more over security, and that is why quitting your office job for embarking on an art career feels like the best decision you could ever make. After you've watched this video, sit down and make a list of things you value the most, based on your experience of happiness, pride, and fulfillment. Identify the times when you were most happy and satisfied, and try to understand how and why did the experience give you that fulfillment. Then go on and narrow the list down to the top 10 values. As a last step, prioritize your values. This is probably the most difficult step, because you will have to look deep inside yourself. But it is also the most important one, because when making a decision, you will have to choose between solutions that may satisfy different values. And this is when you must know which value is more important to you. At last, tip number 3 on how to make better decisions. Learn to lead the battle between the rational part and the emotional part of your brain. Think back to some of the stupidest decisions you've ever made. Chances are, most of those decisions were motivated by you being emotionally triggered. Maybe you were angry and in a fit of rage decided to tell your boss what you really think about him, causing you to get fired. Or maybe you were so sad from your breakup that you got drunk and spray painted "I hate you" all over your ex-girlfriend's car. Whatever it is, we've all been there. The problem is, while your rational brain knows that certain actions are bad for you, the emotional part of your brain may overcome this knowledge and even rationalize bad behaviors. Your emotions ultimately drive out most of your choices, because the emotional part of your brain is much more powerful than the rational part. To counter this, pay attention to your emotional state. Resist the temptation to respond to people or make decisions when your emotions, particularly negative ones, were strongly triggered. Practice walking away from situations where your words or actions can have important consequences, and return to them only when you're able to think more calmly. Now, if you liked the content, please check out these other videos on the power of mindfulness, which can help you take your decision-making skills to the next level. Thanks for watching.